Welcome to Mr. Thorpe's tips for the GCSE Philosophy and Ethics exam. These tips are for all the B601, 2, 3 and 4, and they are related to the OCR specification when it comes to the Philosophy and Ethics Religious Studies exam. So, here are some example questions, and obviously you can see that they are marked accordingly. You can see the marks that are in the brackets there, and what I'd like to do today is to get you to think about how long you should spend on each question, what sort of things you might get asked in these questions, how can you get the best marks, and what keywords do you need to look out for in the exam so you can understand what they're asking you to say. First things first, how long should you spend on each question? Firstly, there is no actual set rule, but I teach my students that there is a rule that you should apply. You need to be, one, aware of the time. There is no point in spending 5 minutes on a question that's only worth 1 mark. If you don't know the answer, and you really don't know the answer, then you need to move on to the next question. So 1 mark, I suggest, should be up to 1 minute, 2 marks up to 2 minutes, 3 marks up to 3 minutes. The 6 mark answer up to 6, possibly more than 8. Now these are rough timings. Don't assume it's going to be 12 marks for the 12 minutes for the 12 mark one. That should be 18 or 19 minutes because it's worth 12 marks. So you need to be spending a lot more time on that one. Now these timings are rough timings, but they're timings that I think you should at least be aware of in your head when it comes to answering these questions. That means that 1A, B, especially, do not need great big and long explanations. They're short, sharp, straight to the point answers that need to be done quite quickly. C, 3 marks, should be an additional sentence with some a sentence with some additional explanation. It's 3 marks. It shouldn't be a quarter or a half a page of work. And 6 marks obviously needs to be a considerably more than a 1 or 2 mark piece of work, answering in with examples and using clear explanations. And obviously the 12 mark answer is the one where you're discussing and you've got to use lots of examples and lots of different points of view. So here are some terms that you need to know when you're answering these questions. Often the exam will ask you for a definition of key words and meaning, so you've got to make sure that your understanding of what the words means is clear. Don't give a big long definition or explanation, just a clear quick definition will do. Attitudes. Often in these exam questions they ask you about what Christian attitudes are, what religious attitudes are, and that basically means how they feel about specific topics or subjects. You can also include beliefs within that, within attitudes, but attitudes is a kind of subjective feeling towards, but it's going to be a subjective feeling because they have particular beliefs about something. The third thing is beliefs. Beliefs are specific ideas they have and they believe about specific areas. So they will usually be religious and possibly from the Bible and possibly from church teachings as well. Teachings. Certain churches have specific teachings. The Church of England teaches certain things. The Roman Catholic Church teaches certain things. Baptist churches teach certain things. And teachings can be from the Bible. Teachings can be from the specific church denominations that you're looking at. For example, the Catholic Church or the Church of England. Beliefs and teachings can be used interchangeably as well. Differences between the religions. Often you'll get a phrase that describes the difference between, or what Christians believe the differences are between certain things, or why do Christians have different opinions or beliefs about a specific subject. So it's clear, you need to be clear about what the different Christian groups believe about different subjects or areas. Give reasons with examples. Obviously that speaks for itself really. When you're asked to give a reason, you give a reason and you make sure it has a clear example with it. You might be asked for 1, 2 or 3 reasons. You've got to make sure you're giving clear examples with that. Also explain the importance of certain things. You need to make sure that you can clearly give an explanation. Again, it needs to have a clear explanation linked to it. There are again an example of a set of questions you might do. Now it's really important for you to understand that the terms how and why in a question, if you get described how a Christian might help the poor, for example, and describe why a Christian might help the poor, they are different questions and they require different answers. So please read the questions carefully, and if a question is asking you how, give how. If it's asking you why, it's looking for the reasons why and not examples about how they might do it. So please read the questions carefully and make sure you're answering the right question with the right terms and ideas being used.